Good morning and welcome to our June 18th, 2019 Board of Commissioners briefing. Mr. Mayo, you have an invocation?
Let me caution you, Chairman, before you do that, right underneath the note, all persons are requested to silence their cell phones. 8:30 a.m., you're going to reconvene the Board of Equalization and Review meeting.
Okay.
And when we do that, of course, Alan will handle all of that, but we will have to administer the oath to the three who were not at the previous one. And that will be Mr. Bell, Mr. Cromartie, and Mr. Daugherty.
Okay.
We were not at the previous one.
No, sir, if you'll recall, we did that at last minute and had it on May 6th. I actually wasn't here, and we just, enough came in for a quorum, and then we recessed it. So that meeting was
about
May
10
6th.
minutes.
Yeah, that
It was on a Monday.
that was that special call.
Yeah, there was a special call.
Oh, that was that special call one?
And you'll get.
Oh, okay.
June 18, 2019 Board of Commissioners briefing.
Okay, so you might want to tell Bill. Let me,
About that.
Bill,
let me.
what in the world?
Bill.
My bad.
Okay, Mr. Pate, we probably cannot have you on speakerphone on your end. Unless you, the only thing you can, or if you turn the volume down on your computer.
Well, what I did, I just turned the volume down on the computer, and I forgot I had it on because there's a time lapse in there anyway.
Yes, sir, there is. It's about a 2-minute delay, I think, or 1 minute. But anyway, perfect. As long as you have that down, then you can keep your phone on speaker.
Are you hearing me all right now without any distortion?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
We're good. We're good.
Okay, so we'll go with Commissioner Cromartie for pledge of allegiance, then approval of minutes. Mr. Honeycutt, discussion, adjustment of agenda.
We do have a couple of budget amendments that we are passing out now. These are some year-end wrap-up budget amendments, but that's the only additional thing we'll be walking on.
Okay. And any board commissioner have anything to add to the agenda? If not, Mr. Honeycutt, we start with special presentations.
Thank you, Chair. We'll have employee service pins. This is our 5, 10, 15, 20-year pins.
And the EMS coins.
And the
Add that to the slide.
Right. Also, we'll have presentation by the Wayne County 4-H Robotics Club, and Kevin will be here. We'll also introduce the Youth Summit candidate for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners annual meeting. And then we'll also have Matthew Willett, who's the Executive Director for Habitat, give an update on activities with Habitat in the county.
Okay. Then we'll go with public comments. Commissioner Aycock, appointment committee.
No, sir, we don't have anything
Okay.
today. We've got a couple of committees that we need to find some people on, but no appointments today.
Okay. Then we'll recess the Board of Commissioners meeting and convene the Board of Adjustment meeting. And that'll be a 9:30 a.m. public hearing for a solar facility.
Yes, sir.
So we won't bury it
Barry,
now.
you want to come down? Okay.
All right, this is the public hearing for the solar farm out on Herring Road, the Overman Solar Facility. And of course, I'll go through more detail during the actual public hearing, but we have advertised for this meeting. We've sent out property notices for the 9:30 hearing. So right now, we're not expecting a huge crowd, but there could be some folks here. We don't know. But I know the applicant will be present, and the applicant will have some folks here that can answer questions. I don't think they're planning a formal presentation, but they do have some experts here. If you do have questions or want more information, they'll be glad to do that.
Anyone have anything for Barry? Thank you, Barry.
All right, thank you.
And then we'll adjourn the Board of Adjustment meeting and reconvene the Board Commissioner meeting. And Mr. Honeycutt, unfinished business. Miss-
If you want to take action, the Board of Adjustment can take action before the adjournment.
Okay. I'll make myself a note. All right. Just help me remember. All right, Mr. Honeycutt.
Thank you. The next, under unfinished business, is motion to adopt Resolution 1919, resolution to approve the grant agreement for the Crawford property reimbursement for the Wayne Executive Jetport. And this is a project we've been working with the DOT and aviation for multiple years trying to get the reimbursement. We have had to go back and have the property reappraised, and the appraisal amount is $243,369.
Okay.
And that's what we will be reimbursed. And we're trying to work with them on the match as well.
And this reimbursement coming from the North Carolina Department
Yes, sir.
of Transportation.
Division Aviation, yes, sir. This property the county purchased a long time ago to expand the airport, and we were supposed to be reimbursed for it.
Are we getting reimbursed what we paid for it, at least?
No.
No.
Discrepancy there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, evidently, at that time, the NCDOT would allow you to purchase property at 25% over appraised value. And that's where we kind of got caught. Now they don't allow that.
Of course.
And it is a,
And it's cheaper to do that than it was to condemn it.
and this is a matter of routine that the North Carolina Department of Transportation refunds us whenever we buy property for an airport. It'll matter.
Yes, sir.
That's standard for everywhere.
Yes, sir. And then next we have the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, you can get additional questions on that. Next is consent agenda. We have application for property tax exclusion, and then budget amendments. I'll turn it over to Allison.
We have several this morning as we are nearing the end of our fiscal year. The first is in your agenda packet, so I'll get to the handout in a few minutes. For WCDA, this is to reallocate additional funds for salaries, and this is related to the new director that we've hired and the related fringes. For social services, this is number 516. We are reallocating funds from salaries and wages to overtime. They've had additional vacancies in their full-time positions, and they've also got to meet their standard timeliness requirement with the state, and so that has resulted in some overtime. For social services, we're requesting to reallocate $6,329 to other communications. They have added some additional lines, but we've also had more in-depth billing from Verizon, and that has resulted in sort of a true-up to these departments of what their costs are for their devices. For social services, we are reallocating $10,657.79 to service and maintenance contracts. This is related to an EBT food and nutrition program, and the Hurricane Florence did drive up the volume of that, so they've had new and existing clients in that program. For facility services, we are reallocating $10,000 for maintenance and repairs of vehicles. I don't believe this is related to any particular vehicle. They have just had a bad year with maintenance on vehicles, and it's just resulted in higher repair cost than they originally budgeted. For the sheriff's office, we are requesting to anticipate and appropriate $7,644.27 in seized property funds. For facilities, we're requesting to reallocate $14,314.52. This is the additional water bill that has increased. We are looking into what could be causing this increase and how we can reconcile this with the city of Goldsboro. So I will keep you posted when we find out the result of that. For solid waste, we are reallocating $40,000 to the gas, oil, and tires line item. They've had just an increase in tonnage this year, which has caused the machines to run more. Additionally, diesel prices have increased beyond what they budgeted. For GWTA, anticipating $4,457.22 in the salaries and wages line items. This is a reimbursable line item, so they will reimburse us for the increase in their salaries and fringes. For services on aging, they've received a donation in the amount of $121, and we are appropriating that to their program. For social services, we are anticipating and appropriating additional $1,228.63. This is for the Duke Energy Progress Energy Neighbor Program. That's to match up to the state funding authorization. For Literacy Connections, they've had additional employees to opt out, but that is reimbursable by Literacy, and that's in the amount of $3,000. For the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, they've received additional funds, and it's specifically the Prevention Treatment Program have received additional funds to spend by June 30 in the amount of $15,000, and that is passed through from the state. For the Medical Examiner's Office, this is from Department of Health and Human Services. We are required to pay for certain fees on medical exams and autopsies, and that line item has exceeded what we originally budgeted. For social services, we're reallocating $6,500 for security. They've had additional hours worked due to Hurricane Florence and required additional security to be on site after the storm. For cooperative extension, we're anticipating an additional $1,500 in sponsorship monies, and this is to cover the farm worker health and safety meetings that they host. For social services, we're requesting to reallocate $6,000 for the direct services child support line item. They've just had an increase in caseload, and this line item is reimbursed 66% by federal and state government, so this is our share. For the next two, 574 and 575, these are school projects, Southern Wayne High School and Northwest Elementary. Both of these are additional architect fees, reimbursables that we received after the last budget amendment was done, invoices that had to be paid. And so we are, for Southern Wayne, drawing that down out of their bond project fund. And for Northwest, we are transferring it from the school sales tax fund. And I can move on to the walk-ons if you all are okay with these.
Is it, question, on these last two, were they expected or unexpected? I mean, what's the, you said additional.
Well, we thought we received all of the invoices, and then these came in. So from our side, they were unexpected. They are older invoices, so we did check to make sure that they were not duplicate payments, and they were not. So I'm not sure what happened as far as submitting it to us, but we've just received them.
You just hit another keyword, old. How old?
Some of them are October and November.
Any reason given?
But the part of the project ordinance, and they're just reimbursables that are allowable under the payment structure.
Well, I understand all that, but almost a year, that's unacceptable.
It looks like it may be partially on the back of the architect because they have invoices supporting the main invoice they sent. And the main invoice has a more recent date, but the invoices to back up what they submitted to the schools is older. So I'm wondering if maybe that's on the part of the architect, but that's a guess. That's just by quickly looking at this.
I mean, it really don't make any difference who it falls back on. I mean, that's unacceptable. Okay. I've expressed my opinion.
For walk-ons, you did receive an additional memo with some budget amendments, and I apologize because I think one or two of them are out of order. Is the first budget amendment you have number 588, not on your memo, but the one you're looking at after the memo?
Mine is.
Okay. So I'll just go in order of the actual budget amendments, and then I'll reference my memo, so it's not flipping back and forth. This is for the first one, number 588 for Wayne Net. We submitted the budget amendments, I think, last meeting for indirect cost, and this one I think it was just forgotten. So we are submitting additional budget amendments for indirect costs for Wayne Net. And they did have some lapse funds in their operating line item that we could take it from.
What was the original date, and how old is this one?
This one's recent. We don't receive our indirect cost plan until we just received it like maybe a month or two ago. So then we take the time to look at the departments we're going to charge and then provide a budget amendment if it's over what we originally budgeted. Does that answer your question?
Well, I was just wondering if it was in this timeline that would satisfy most of our concerns up here, because every once in a while I hear that someone's concerned about a budget amendment being old or something. So I was just wondering if that was in line with what would be expected in terms of timeline.
Yes, sir. This one was just received.
Yes, sir.
Hospitalization, this one gave us heartburn yesterday. We have reached out to Mark III on this. As you see, we've had to appropriate fund balance in the hospitalization fund, not the general fund. So we did have enough built up in the hospitalization fund to cover it. But we were short by $507,900. We have reached out to Mark III, and they have told us that it is an increase in high-cost claimants, but they want to set up a call. This is just happened in the last few months. I think they were surprised by it, honestly. So we are going to set up a call with them either this week or next week to find out what exactly has happened, because we were kind of on track up until these last 2 or 3 months. And then we'll give you some more information when we receive it.
And even if we don't need all of this, so whatever the remaining is, we'll go back to this fund balance as well. So, this was just to make sure we were not caught short with respect to hospitalization this year.
And the company that you just referenced is the company that handles our self-insurance, is that?
Mark III. They're our broker for all of our insurance products.
Where do we stand on fund balance on that account?
I think the last I looked, we had at the audit, we had like 1.4 million. So, we wouldn't want to do this again. But thankfully, we had enough to cover it for this time.
And that, if you remember, this is part of the reason why we had a 6% increase with respect to claims or not claims as far as what we budgeted annually for health insurance.
Well, it sounds like all this came after you all had determined what the rate should have been.
We were all.
That's a big increase.
And I think it just happened because some of our claims, there'll be a delay with the insurance and everything. So, when I was looking back at the history, May was a really high month. And I don't know that we've paid any for June yet, but April and May hit us hard. And so we've just now had time to react to it. So
And if I'm correct, we are actually paying out based upon the Blue Cross Blue Shield reimbursements.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So we are Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Yes, sir. They are, we're self-funded, but Blue Cross and Blue Shield administers our health plan.
And one last, while it's not the company that you just mentioned, fault, where does this, is this the hospitals that we're dealing with? It's running up the prices, or is this medicine, or is it, what do you think it is?
All of it. It would be all of it because we pay the invoices to Blue Cross, but it's a total of what the claims were for that particular period for the invoice. So
If you have a high claim, like a couple of heart attacks or a couple of other high claimant, that will really skew some of your numbers, especially towards year end.
And this is not to this budget amendment, but while we're on the subject of hospitals, and this is one of those another fault of mine for having a little bit of time to watch television. Yesterday, there was a bit of a special on about hospitals buying up private practices. And I know this subject we've sort of brushed that subject before, but anytime I see there's a mass movement towards hospitals buying up private practices, that becomes an opportunity to control prices and to escalate them. And I just want to say that just in case some of the public don't watch as much TV as I do. And I would want to bring that to the public's attention because I say it sort of joking, but we need to be complaining to our state legislators about those kinds of things, and they need to rein it in. Thank you.
we will certainly get back to you on the results of our phone call with Mark III when we have that scheduled to find out what exactly is going on. For the sewer, I'm on number 582. We are anticipating an additional $64,650. These are our sewer charges we pay, but those are passed on to our customers, so that's why you see an offsetting revenue for that line item. For the staff attorney, we are requesting to anticipate and appropriate an additional $30,500 in revenues and related expenditures. As you know, this is just based on the amount of activity that the office performs, and he's had additional foreclosure sales, so we need to anticipate additional revenue and expenditures for that.
Well, that's a good thing.
It is. Doing a good job. Finally, for the Maxwell Center, we're requesting to reallocate $6,600 for laundry services. As you all know, this is until we can get a permanent fix for the washer and dryer situation. They are outsourcing the laundry, the tablecloths, having to dry clean them and everything. So this is just above and beyond what we budgeted for that line item.
Seems like we talk about that washer and dryer pretty often. Where do we stand?
Met with Kendall, we're talking about the storage area as well. He's getting a price on that where we talked about in the back area, kind of breaking that area in. So he's working on that now, and that may be the best place to put the washer and dryer. So the problem is we just haven't had room since we didn't do the mezzanine, and that would have created some room, or at least some where some of the storage is. We've just kind of been stuck for space.
So it's my understanding that we are planning on installing a washer and dryer that will handle our own laundry in-house.
Yes, sir.
But just as an aside, to see that increase means that business is good.
We've been using it.
Well,
Yeah.
I would want to toss that in, just so that the public would know that when we're talking about it, it's just not that that's a cost that just came out of nowhere. It's a cost because we're doing business.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
There's no additional questions on budget amendments. Next, under consent, is motion to establish a public hearing on July 6, 2009, 2019, at 9:30 a.m. in the morning in the Commissioners' meeting room to receive public comments on a request to rezone a 2-acre tract of land identified as tax parcel 35279995933 from community shopping to residential agriculture in the New Hope Township as recommended by the Planning Department, and I'll have Barry come up.
We do have a rezoning request. This is from Community Shopping, which is the current zoning, to RA20, which is a residential district. There's a house currently on the property. Basically, what that means is that the house is grandfathered. It's a non-conforming use. But the current property owners are looking to sell the property, and the buyers are having some trouble with the zoning being CS, so they are requesting that it be rezoned to RA20, so the house is now conforming before they purchase the property. I think maybe their lending institute is having some concern with that. As you can see, that yellow on the screen is RA20, so it's surrounded on 3 sides, basically by the RA20. It's the last property in the community shopping district. And again, it is currently a residential property in terms of use, so they're just wanting the zoning to match up with the actual use itself. We are asking that you just set a public hearing for your July meeting so that we can advertise and notify property owners and so forth. I'm glad to answer any questions.
I tell you, we're having it July the 16th because we're not having a July 2nd meeting, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
All right, thank you, Greg. Next is motion to approve work authorization number 8 to WK Dixon for the county corporate hangar. And again, this is for the design work for the corporate hangar, and this is part of the corporate area expansion that we're doing out at the Jetport. And this is grant funded.
I'm sorry, you say it's a grant
Yes, sir.
from,
Funded, yes, sir. From, I think this is another aviation grant.
similar to purchasing that land we talked about.
Yeah, they've got more pots of money than Carter has bills.
And the reason it would be appropriate is just because it's designed to help industry recruitment. Is that the basic?
Right, we
rationale?
really have no airport, hangar space out at the airport now. So this is part of what we're looking at to help with corporate recruitment as well, because we have no space. And then, new business, we do have the Catch a Glimpse video by Public Affairs, County Manager's comments, Board of Commissioners comments, in closed session, Board of Commissioners information, and then adjournment.
Will we have closed session today? Okay. We got 2 minutes to spare.
Yes, you guys,
Gonna take a 2-minute break.
You get our raise, there ain't no such thing as a 2-minute break. Take that long.